Thank you, Your Excellency. Our next session is very important, and I would like to invite founder and co-director of EcoPeace, Mr. Gideon Bromberg, to lead on an important session. Please welcome Gideon Bromberg.
I'm certainly not His Excellency Dr. Hazem Al Nasser, but nevertheless I also want to welcome His Excellencies Minister Ayub Kara, His Excellency the Secretary General of the Jordan Valley Authority, Sab Abu Hamur, the Ambassador to Israel here in Jordan, the Ambassador to Sweden here in Jordan as well, and all the other great delegations that are here. I want to remind us all that we're about 300 people in this room. A third are Palestinian, a third are Jordanian, and a third are Israeli. That is no small achievement in the broader, difficult climate that we live in. And therefore, we should congratulate each and every one of us for taking on the challenge of not accepting the status quo, but seeking a better, fairer, and a just future for all our three peoples. I think when we talk about water scarcity, nothing scares me more, nothing speaks to me more than the water insecurity that's currently in Gaza. And the panel that I will now have the privilege to moderate will speak to the water crisis, water and sanitation crisis in Gaza, and will ask, will solutions move forward in time? What are the obstacles, risks and opportunities at hand? And I'd like to invite here to the stage Engineer Ahmed Yacoubi, Oded Fixler from the Israeli Water Authority, Dr. Maher Daher from the World Health Organization. Please. Ms. Marina Weiss from the World Bank. Ms. Charlotte De Bruyn from the Quartet, and has the Mayor of Chof Ashkelon, Yair Farjoun. Excellent. Yair. Please welcome the panel. So, just a few words about the members of the panel that are here. Ahmed Yacoubi is a water resource expert from Gaza. He is 20 years the former Director General of Water Resources for the Palestinian Water Authority. Mr. Oded Fixler, next to him, is a Senior Deputy Director of the Israeli Water Authority and the Israeli Chair of both the Joint Water Committee between Israelis and Palestinians and between Israelis and Jordanians. Very important individual that we're very grateful is joining us for this panel, Mr. Fixler. Next to him, to Mr. Fixler, is Dr. Mahmoud Daher. Dr. Daher is the head of the World Health Organization's Gaza sub-office since 2013. He holds a PhD in public health and is an expert in health systems and emergency health management. And he is from Gaza, as is, of course, Engineer Ahmed Yacoubi. Next to Dr. Daher is the Mayor of the Chof Ashkelon Regional Council, Yair Farjoun. He's been the Mayor since 2007. The mayor is a household figure in Israel, and his leadership in the community that he serves, but really his commitment to the next generations, to youth, I think is what really outstands his record of youth empowerment, of building the capacity of young people in his community, and particularly in the whole south of Israel. Next to Yair Farjoun, we're very, very delighted to have Dr. Marina Weiss join us since August. She's the new country director of the World Bank Office for West Bank and Gaza. Prior to that, she served as the country directors for Poland and the Baltic states. She has experience in India, Pakistan and Turkey, and a doctorate in economics from the London School of Economics. Thank you very, very much. And last but certainly not least, and showing that we do at least strive for better gender balance, Charlotte De Bruyn is a water specialist at the Office of the Quartet. She has a PhD in transboundary water management from not far away from here, from the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. And she has prior experience in Sri Lanka and South Africa. There's some 2 million people living in Gaza, and as we understand, some 95% of their water resources today are no longer potable. And therefore, I'd firstly ask of Engineer Ahmed Yacoubi to outline what is the situation on the ground, what is the water quality issues, what are the water sanitation crisis that the Palestinian population, first and foremost in Gaza, face.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to talk about Gaza, about a unique case, which is Gaza Strip. As you know, there are about 2 million inhabitants living in Gaza, depending on groundwater as the main source. And as you know, Gaza is a very small area, which is about 365 kilometers square, and is highly populated with about 4,700 inhabitants per kilometer square. And since the groundwater is the only source, and we know, and everybody knows that the groundwater there, the aquifer, the coastal aquifer, is very limited in potentiality. So the available water resources cannot fulfill the needs of the Gaza people. The renewable amount of Gaza coastal aquifer is about 60 million cubic meter per year, while nowadays we are producing or pumping or over-abstracting about 180 million cubic meter per year. This means there is no balance between the renewable amount and the demand. And there is a deficit of about 120 million cubic meter per year. That extensive pumping, which is used for either agriculture or for domestic, where we have more than 8,000 agricultural wells and about 260 domestic wells. With that abstraction, lead to the water level decline to about 18 meters below mean sea level in the southern area as well as in the northern area. This two cone of depression, imagine hydrological point of view, would give a chance to the seawater intrusion to invade the land to about 3 kilometers inland. And when you consider width of Gaza Strip is about 8 kilometers, this means 30% of the coastal of the Gaza Strip is affected directly by seawater intrusion, and that increased dramatically the salinity of the groundwater. For that reason, as mentioned by my colleague, that about 96.3% of the water produced for domestic supply Gaza Strip are far from the WHO standard in terms of salinity as well as other parameters. If that continue, if that Gaza depend mainly on the waters in the aquifer, the situation will be miserable as well as nowadays. And as mentioned in the UN report, everybody read it, the aquifer system will be collapsed 100%. And now in 2016, Gaza is really suffering by all means regarding the water salinity, water equality, in addition to the pollution due to the insufficient network distribution system and leakage of the wastewater, either treated or untreated, directly to the aquifer, and giving high percentage of nitrate reaching to about 300 milligram per liter, which is 6 times of the limit of WHO standard. This is the situation in terms of water equality.
Thank you, sir. So, some 96% of the water no longer potable, next to no sufficient treating of wastewater that's also polluting the groundwater. The pollution also of the sewage is going to the Mediterranean.
Most, if not all, of the water, the treated wastewater, either treated or untreated raw water, directly go to the sea. When we don't have that sufficient treatment facility in those water, and for that reason we are not able to use it directly for the agriculture at the moment. So all the water, which is, we can say 35 million cubic meter, dumped directly to the seawater, to the sea, the Mediterranean Sea. And there is a reason behind the treatment facility and shortage of energy in Gaza Strip. We are not able to operate the treatment facilities which is existing in Gaza 24 hours. In the case of 8 hours per day, we are operating the treatment, but other 16 hours we are not able to treat it. In general, most of the water is not treated efficiently and go directly to the Mediterranean Sea. We know it is polluted and our people are suffering, especially in the summer period, and there is a lot of diseases appear during the summer where the children are swimming as the only place that our people are go in the summer.
So the groundwater is shared, and the groundwater is being overdrawn and being polluted. The sewage pollutes the drinking water. 35 MCM of sewage is about 90 million litres of sewage that flow into the Mediterranean every day. Every day, 90 million litres. If we talk about water insecurity, how can we ignore the water crisis in Gaza? I want to turn to what are the implications of that for the first and foremost the Palestinian population, to Dr. Mahmoud Daher from the World Health Organization.
Thank you, Gideon, and I would like first to thank EcoPeace, to thank Honorable Your Excellencies and ministers and deputy ministers and members of parliaments for this important event that is being hosted by the government of Jordan in this beautiful place. As Gideon mentioned, I am coming from Gaza and working with the World Health Organization since 13 years already in Gaza as well. Gaza, as mentioned by my colleague Ahmad, is a very overpopulated piece of land, and the fertility rate is one of the highest in the region. We have almost 55,000 newcomers every year, newborn every year, that requires more resources. The increase of the population of about 50 when we subtract the deaths. So these people increasing annually require more resources when the situation that has been illustrated by my colleague of the Palestinian Water Authority is going into the negative direction, and that means a health issue. The issue of the quality of the water and issue of the quantity of the water, and then the issue of the recreational water use, the Mediterranean and even the swimming pools and so on. In the area of the quality of the water, we have seen in all the results of the laboratories in Gaza that all the water in Gaza, 97% as mentioned, but it might be all the wells in Gaza are of high salinity and high nitrate, which means health impact of this chemical contamination. In the aquifer, we didn't see the microbial contamination. However, the coping mechanism that the population are using by using the desalinated water from uncontrolled private companies that are not well surveyed and not well monitored in terms of health leads to other types of morbidities, which means the microbial and biological contamination of the use. We have surveyed more than 300 studies on the water and impact on the water in Gaza, and only 9 of these studies or 10 of these studies have linked the water with health. There are not big knowledge about the numbers of people affected because of the use of the water. However, we know that there are from the surveillance system that the UNRWA, for example, and the Ministry of Health in Gaza are using, there are always increasing number of children with diarrheal diseases, with hepatitis A, which we relate to as waterborne disease. There are also issues of water-based disease, such as parasitic infestations. We don't have the types of malaria or mosquitoes that can transmit the problems of the water-related diseases like malaria and Zika. However, the infrastructure that is there and the risks in the global arena also put that aspect on the scene. In terms of health problem, then we are talking about water resources affected, aquifer irreversibly damaged, affected wash services, lack of good health monitoring, which means a serious public health risk. And as I mentioned, in these studies that we found, there are studies associated the use of water with the gastrointestinal infections, as I mentioned, diarrhea. Fortunately, we don't have cholera endemic in this region or in Gaza, so that we didn't see any cases of cholera within this protracted complex emergency that is the situation in Gaza. We have studied the relation between the nitrate and high nitrate level in the water and the methemoglobin among children. There have been studies relating the iodine deficiency and the low groundwater levels of iodine, and one or two studies on the fluoride levels found association between high groundwater fluoride concentration and dental disease. The latest study on the health impact looked at parameters of public health concern and the quality parameters on the water. As I mentioned, diarrhea, malnutrition, hepatitis A, typhoid, parasitic diseases, oncology and cancers, meningitis, skin diseases, dental caries, rental diseases, anemia, together with the high nitrates, fluorides, bacteria, parasites, heavy metals, which we don't have enough capacity to measure, radiation we don't have enough capacity to measure, light metals, fluorides, total dissolved particle, and pH. In fact, the other element of the large volume of water, untreated water injected to the Mediterranean also put this risk of diseases that may be seen as a result of the use of the water for the recreational purposes. I don't know if my colleague in Ashkelon has found any of the traces of the coliforms and the fecal coliforms in the half of Ashkelon because of this situation, but that means that these kinds of issues do not respect any boundaries. And the last thing that I wanted to say about the impact of the water crisis in Gaza is the use of the water in health facilities. We have just went into visits in hospitals and primary health care, and the scarcity of the water also impacts the functionality of the healthcare facilities. Shifa Hospital, Shifa is the biggest hospital in the occupied Palestine territory, about 850 beds, and requires hundreds of cubic meters per month. The available amounts are not enough to provide enough space for surgeons to make good scrubbing, for instance, or good infection control. The hemodialysis unit at that hospital is also in need of high quantities of desalinated water, which is not available. These are somehow some of the impacts that we see. Again, the evidences require much more studies in order to look at more exact numbers and statistics. Thank you, Gidon, again for this chance.
Thank you, Dr. Gaher. So we're hearing, I think, facts that should be of great concern to us all, of 2 million people who are drinking unhealthy water for their own, and as our chair, Mr. Razi, mentioned before, perhaps some of the poorest people in the region are paying the heaviest price of drinking unhealthy water. 1 hour from Tel Aviv, 1 hour south of Tel Aviv. So we cannot think that this is something that doesn't impact us. In fact, the Israeli Prime Minister, in a Rome statement, made the comment expressing his concern to pandemic disease not stopping at the fence, not stopping, that pollution doesn't stop at borders. And I think that that's a message that all of us need to take to heart, that water security is a transboundary concern that must concern us all to solve. And I want to go to perhaps the closest neighbor first, before we go on to the solutions, to the mayor, Yair Farjoun. What is the concern of the neighboring community in Israel? You're the closest to Gaza, and what's your concerns to such a crisis? Not 1 hour away, but 1 minute away. Bivrit? You're going to need translations, please. It's going to be here.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله عليكم وبركاته. أهلا وسهلا. אני אדבר בעברית. אני גר סמוך לרצועת עזה. היישובים שלנו נמצאים 100 מטר מהגבול. וחלק אחר, קילומטר או 2. הים הוא אותו ים. החוף הוא אותו חוף. הדיונות הם אותם דיונות. המים הוא אותו מים. כשיורד גשם אצלנו, יורד גם בעזה. וכשלא יורד בעזה, כמו עכשיו, לא יורד גם אצלנו. אלוהים לא מפריד בעננים איפה ירדו הגשמים. אלוהים שם אותנו על הארץ ואמר תסתדרו. ידעתם להסתדר? יהיה לכם גן עדן. לא ידעתם להסתדר? אתם יודעים מה יהיה לכם. לפני 8 חודשים בקירוב, התקשר אליי המנהל תברואה של המועצה, ואומר, ואדי חנון זורם מים. ואדי חנון שמגיע מבית חנון זורם מים. איזה מים? הוא אומר לי, גשם אין. לוקח את האוטו, נוסעים למקום, וירדן קטן זורם לידינו. ביוב גולמי, שלא עבר שום תהליך של קירור, זורם מוואדי חנון, יורד לכיוון נחל שקמה. צריך להבין, אמרו פה אנשי המים, מישור החוף זה האקוויפר הטוב ביותר שיש לכל מישור החוף. כל טיפת גשם שיורדת הולכת למי התהום. המים לא מתבזבזים במישור החוף. מכאן שגם כל גרם ביוב שזורם בנחלים האלה יורד לאדמה. כשהיינו קטנים, ההורים היו שמים לנו קופסה קטנה, והיו אומרים, שים כל פעם גרוש. כשתגדל יהיה לך הרבה, בקופת חיסכון. ככה זה אותו דבר האדמה, היא קופת החיסכון של המים. ואם המים מעזה זורמים, מהביוב זורמים לאזור שלנו, זה החיסכון. גם שלנו וגם של העזתים. אין הפרדה. המים זה אותו מים. הנה לנו אתגר, מחוץ לכל הבעיות הפוליטיות, שאנחנו בשולחן הזה לא יכולים לפתור אותם עכשיו, אבל אם אנחנו נתחיל להתמודד עם אתגרים מקומיים של בעיות של ביוב, אין שום ספק שזה יותר מאשר שער קטן כדי לעבוד יחד במשותף. זה שער ענק. יש משפט שאמר לי בדואי זקן פעם, إذا التنور الصغير خير من كثيرة الصورة في الظلام الدميس. נר אחד קטן בחושך יותר טוב מהרבה מאוד, מאיר יותר טוב מאשר הרבה מאוד צעקות. לצעוק, כולם יודעים. השאלה, אם אנחנו יכולים לעשות את הדברים ולדבר, ובלי לצעוק. פרקטית, אני יכול להגיד לכם, שאני הצעתי בפני שר הביטחון, ראש הממשלה, שר הביטחון הקודם והעכשווי, שאנחנו מוכנים באזור שלנו להקים מערכת מסוימת שתוכל לקלוט את המי ביוב שבאים מבית חנון, לעשות להם את התיאור ולהשתמש בהם. כי מה מסתבר, חברים? גם אם המים בעזה יעברו טיהור, ככה אמרו לי, החקלאים של עזה לא רוצים להשקות בזה את המים. אנחנו מוכנים להשקות בזה. כלומר, אין לנו שום בעיה, תקשיבו לאבסורד, לקחת את הביוב של עזה ולתאר אותו. לא רק זה, כל קוב מים של ביוב שאנחנו נקבל ונתאר, תקבלו מים נקיים. איך אמר איוב קרא? איפה הוא? איוב. טוב שכן, קרוב מאח רחוק. אנחנו שכנים. אתם יודעים, יש כאלה שקמים בבוקר ואומרים, אולי אין אף אחד בעזה, פתאום הכל נקי. וגם בעזה יש אנשים שקמים בבוקר ואומרים, אולי אין ישראל בבוקר, הכל נקי. אלה חולמים ואלה חולמים. לא החלום של זה מתגשם ולא החלום של זה מתגשם. זאת מציאות. אנחנו נמצאים כאן על האדמה הזאת. אנחנו חייבים לדעת להסתדר. מעבר, אמרתי, פן אחד של אחריות הממשלתית, אני מדבר עכשיו כראש רשות. כשיש להקה של כלבים משוטטים שמצליחה לעבור את הגדר ומגיעה לאזור שלי, לי יש בעיה של כלבים שאין להם חיסון, שהם משוטטים, יכולים להיות עם כלבת. הבעיה היא הדדית. כשיש שם יתושים, אז הם באים גם אליי. כשלי יהיו יתושים, הם יבואו גם לשם. תשמעו, חברים יקרים. ידוע לכל שכל משפחת הדלויים, מלפפונים, דלעת, גם הסולנים, כמו עגבניות, פלפלים, כל אלה צריכים דבורים כדי שיעשו להם האבקה. דבורים שיעשו את האבקה. זאת אומרת, הדבורים שיעשו לנו אוכל. אתם מתארים לעצמכם מה קורה היום במרחבים של רצועת עזה, שאין מספיק צמחים כדי שיספקו מזון לדבורים, ואז כמות הדבורים יורדת, ואז יש פחות מאבקים, ואז גם החקלאים מרוויחים פחות, כי יש להם פחות יבולים. ואם אנחנו רק מדברים, אנחנו יכולים בלי שום בעיה לטוע הרבה מאוד עצים בהרבה מאוד אזורים שסמוכים לרצועת עזה, עצים שהיכולת שלהם לייצר צוף היא גבוהה מאוד. וברגע שאנחנו שמים הרבה מאוד עצים שמייצרים צוף, נותנים הרבה מזון לדבורים. ואז יש לדבורים אפשרות להמשיך ולהתרבות. והדבורה יודעת לעבור את הגבול מצד לצד ולעשות עבודה לכל החקלאים, גם החקלאים פה וגם החקלאים שם. דבורה יכולה 6-7 קילומטר כל יום, בלי בעיה. אז במקום שיעברו מעל הגדר טילים, נעביר דבורים. לחלק מאיתנו כאן, אני בטוח, הוא מסתכל ואומר, ההוא עם הסנדלים, מה הוא מבלבל את המוח על הדברים? אתם יכולים להגיד לי את זה, אבל לא תמצאו אקולוג שרק סיים את הלימודים שלו, שלא יחתום עכשיו על ההסכם הזה, כדי שיהיה פוטנציאל דבורים, ואז זה בעצם מזון בשפע. אז הנה לנו התמודדויות שאנחנו יכולים לתת להם פתרונות הדדיים. אני אגלה לכם סוד קטן. לפני מספר חודשים, מכון ההתפלה שנמצא בעיר אשקלון, הפסיק לעבוד ליומיים. לא סיפרו על זה בעיתונות. עכשיו אולי יספרו. אתם יודעים למה? כי היה בו זיהום. מאיפה הגיע הזיהום? מעזה. אז הנה גם מערכת ההתפלה שנמצאת בעיר אשקלון, שממנה המדינה נותנת גם מים לכיוון רצועת עזה חזרה, מפסיקה לעבוד. אין שום ספק, ויפה שעה אחת קודם, שזה אתגר שאנחנו באים מההיבט המוניציפלי, מעלים אותו על השולחן פעם ועוד פעם, מוכנים לרתום כל מי שאפשר על מנת להתמודד עם האתגרים האלה ולתת פתרונות. מדברים על קיימות, בר קיימה. בואו נתחיל לדבר על מים. כן, המסגרת היא קיימות. תודה רבה על הכפיים, תודה. אז חברים יקרים, האתגרים הם עצומים, חלקם הם מקומיים שניתן לפתור, חלקם חייבים את הממשלות, וחלקם צריכים את הממשלות האירופאיות שיעזרו בעניין הזה. כמו לדוגמה, קחו סיפור שאולי אפשר לצאת מפה עם איזשהו הסכם. כל יום נכנסות לרצועת עזה 800 עד 1,000 משאיות עם אספקה. כל יום. אבל משום שכולם נוסעים על כביש אחד, ויש טרמינל אחד בלבד, יש בזה עוגמת נפש. גם לתושבים הישראלים. ובתוך הטרמינל משאיות מתעכבות, מגיעות ב-2 בלילה, ונכנסות ב-8 בבוקר. 800 משאיות, זה לא פשוט. ועלה רעיון לעשות טרמינל נוסף בארז, באזור שלנו, איפה שאני נמצא. האם אפשר לעשות את זה? מחר אפשר לעשות את זה. זה מוריד את המשאיות 400 מפה ו400 מפה. מכל הבחינות. אני מוכן להגיד לכם, זה לא סוד, דיברתי עם מנכ"ל משרד הביטחון לפני 10 ימים, הוא אמר, אנחנו מוכנים לגשת לעניין. לגשת לבנות מסוף נוסף ברצועת עזה בארז. זאת אומרת שיש נכונות, ואפשר לעשות הרבה מאוד דברים, אלא שצריך לשבת ולדבר על הדברים האלה. ובמסגרת הזו, שהחברים וכמובן למארחים הירדנים שקיבלו אותנו כאן בסבר פנים יפות, ותודה לכולם מהפקידים, האורחים ואנשי הממשל שהגיעו לכאן. אנחנו נכונים לסייע, ולא בגלל שאנחנו אלטרואיזם, אלא בגלל שאנחנו רוצים לחיות ביחד.
יאיר, תודה רבה. I think it's no coincidence that the Good Water Neighbours program is the flagship program of EcoPeace Middle East, because it's the voice of the mayors, it's the voice of the local communities. There's about 20 mayors here in the room, Palestinian, Jordanian and Israeli together, and I see the mayor of Haifa, the third largest city of Israel here as well. The mayors have a critical role to play, and their voices are not being heard enough. And if we help empower those voices, maybe we'll see more practical solutions advance more quickly, because these are the people that are paying the price on all sides. So moving forward to the solutions. I first of all, and the Mayor mentioned the international community, I first of all want to turn to the World Bank. The World Bank is heavily invested in Gaza. I'd be very grateful for a summary of what is the World Bank investment program in Gaza, and how does the World Bank look upon trying to solve the water and sanitation crisis of Gaza in particular.
Thank you very much, and it's really an honor to be here in this room with 300 people that are trying to think through how things can be made better on the ground. It's a really uplifting and motivating experience for someone like myself, who's only been in the job for about 3 months now. So I think we've already heard a lot about Gaza and the situation being very difficult in terms of quantity of water, quality of water, sewage, but also more broadly, the living conditions in Gaza are extremely challenging. Unemployment rates are among the highest in the world. Looking at about 40% average unemployment rate. Youth unemployment is about 2/3 of all young people without jobs. And those that are working typically have very low wages. It's difficult to get accurate poverty data, but poverty is high, and to the best of our knowledge, it's on the increase. The conflict of 2014 was a huge setback, of course, for Gaza's development, and the recovery and reconstruction effort is still underway. But even when that is completed, a lot still needs to be done to put in place sustainable conditions for medium and long-term growth in Gaza. So the World Bank is working with the PA to help promote Gaza's development in the social areas by providing social protection and social transfers to the poorest, in the area of education, in the area of private sector development, and also in the area of infrastructure. And I will focus on water now, but if anybody wants to hear about other aspects of the program, my colleagues and I will be happy to comment on that as well. So on the water side, I think we have spoken already at some length about the dire situation, and also the fact that if nothing is done now, or if not enough is done now, in a few years we will find that the damage to the aquifer is irreversible. So really, time is running out. So what we see in the short run, one of the key priorities is to increase the water deliveries to Gaza from Israel. The water consumption levels in Gaza are so low, far below what the WHO recommends, and the only short-term solution is to increase the deliveries from Israel. At the same time, it is critical that NGEST, the North Gaza Emergency Sewage Treatment Plant, and other wastewater treatment plants are operating to ensure the infiltration of treated wastewater, which should also help recharge the aquifer. And I will say a few words about NGEST in a moment. Another priority in the short term is to move forward on the Central Gaza desalination plant to meet the water supply needs of the population. Now, I want to emphasize at this point that implementing these projects will require energy. And energy is another weak spot in Gaza and another area where more cooperation and further thinking is needed, since delivering the water resources that are needed will require a lot of energy. In addition to investments in infrastructure, further efforts also need to be made for the institutional strengthening that will help make these infrastructure investments sustainable over the medium term. So improvements in the distribution infrastructure and the services management, including to reduce losses, to increase the reliability of household services, and to improve the basis for cost recovery, are all critical to complement the infrastructure investments. So the World Bank, working with the PA and various partners, development partners and other partners, is currently focusing on, first of all, completing NGEST by the end of next year, by December 17, to have it operational, and also to ensure the availability of electrical supply. Secondly, we are working with partners to encourage greater provision of water from Israel to Gaza, as well as the West Bank, including in the context of the Red Debt Agreement. Third, we are trying to support energy security planning and design for Gaza, including in support of water supply. And fourth, we are developing new financial support to improve the management of water services for sustainability, so to work on the institutional infrastructure more explicitly. So in closing, if we don't act quickly, the crisis will get worse and irreparable damage will be done. And we stand ready to continue to work with the PA and with all partners to help alleviate the crisis. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Marina. So we're a year away at best to stop a third of Gaza's sewage continuing to flow into the groundwater and into the Mediterranean every day. The quartet, and here I turn to Charlotte, is also heavily invested in seeking solutions, and I think you're even looking at the longer term solution. So maybe you can enlighten us as to what are the priorities of the quartet, and what does the quartet see as some of the obstacles in moving forward?
Thank you. My message is pretty similar to what Marina already mentioned, which is unsurprising, as we are very much aligned on water and energy and focusing on the water and energy sector at the moment. So as we already heard from the other panelists and the main issue of this panel, there is a severe water crisis in Gaza, which is obviously only going to worsen towards the future if we consider population growth, if we consider climate change and maybe a decrease in precipitation in Gaza. We expect water needs in Gaza to reach a total of 270 million cubic meters by the year of 2020. So just putting some numbers out there, I think can be useful just to give some idea of the sheer amount of quantities and the sheer gap of drinking water supply that we are talking about. So if we take in consideration that the water need will be around 270 million cubic meter, and that the sustainable yields to extract water from the coastal aquifer is around a maximum of 50-60 million cubic meter, we know that in 3 years from now, there's going to be a gap in drinking water that goes well beyond 200 million cubic meter. If we also know that most of the drinking water is currently sourced from the coastal aquifer, which is depleted and which is abstracted at an unsustainable rate, we just come to a very straightforward conclusion, and that is that Gaza needs alternative supplies without delay, alternative sources of drinking water, which can be implemented also immediately. The PWA Gaza Water Strategy of 2011 actually identifies 9 interventions in the water sector that are complementary, and 3 of these interventions focus on the water supply side. The first intervention is to increase water imports from Israel. The second is to focus and implement on short-term, low-volume desalination, which is currently a project implemented by UNICEF, funded by the European Union. So this is a small-scale desalination which produces a total of 7.8 MCM per year. A third intervention focuses on high-volume water, and which concerns a regional desalination plant. So a large-scale desalination plant could provide 55 MCM, which is million cubic meter, to Gaza in the first phase, and possibly in the second phase 110 MCM. So if we look at these numbers, the Office of the Quartet sees it as very useful to assist the PWA in the implementation of this large-scale desalination project, which is an absolute necessity for Gaza, as other essential water and energy infrastructure is not only in the light of water provision, which is the direct outcome, but also the indirect outcome of building a more solid economic groundwork for the Gaza Strip. However, as a desalination plant is not likely to come online and to become operational before the year 2022, we should, the Office of the Quartet is also very much engaged in trying to urge the parties, both the Palestinian Authority, the government of Israel, but also the international community, to revise the current water strategy and also to think outside of the box, and as Bank already mentioned, to look at additional import of water from Israel, for example, and at least in the intermediate term until other large-scale solutions may be implemented. Just to also make a connection to energy, if we are looking at water, large-scale water infrastructure, also wastewater infrastructure, all depends on the availability of sustainable and reliable energy. So at the Quartet, there is congruent to the water file, there is an energy department and an energy team working on a long-term strategy for energy supply to Gaza, which includes the Gas for Gaza pipeline, which implies the a pipeline from natural gas from Israel to Gaza, but also focusing on the larger sectoral needs and sectoral strategy, which are absolutely necessary projects to implement in Gaza as soon as possible. And so both on water and on energy, the Office of the Quartet is more and more focusing on both the large-scale infrastructure, long-term needs, but also what are the sectoral strategies, the strategic initiatives which need to be pushed forward in order to create a more viable Gaza in the long term. So I'll leave it to here, but I'm also available for further questions, and I will be also here still again tomorrow.
Thank you, Charlotte. So, if we ever have heard a description of a ticking time bomb, I think we've heard what a ticking time bomb looks like. That there's no sustainable solution for sewage, for a third of the sewage for another year if we're lucky, 2/3 much further. There's no sustainable solution for clean, potable water at large scale until 2022 to 2025, if we're lucky, and things generally fall behind here. There's a government in Gaza, the Hamas government, that does not have these issues as their priorities. Let's face that, and also put that on the table, that there's a failure of governance within Gaza that is not dealing with the water crisis of Gaza for 2 million of its own people. And therefore, we're not about a blame game, and I say that really up front. And I turn here to Oded Fixler, who I really am grateful that he's come onto the stage to speak to the issue. So, what is the Israeli perspective? How does Israel see the ticking time bomb of water and sanitation in Gaza?
Well, thank you, Gideon and EcoPeace, Muket, and another for having me here. I think I won't reveal any state secret if I say that the water, natural water, in this region are stressed. We used to plan our water strategy according to 1.2 billion cubic meters a year of natural replenishment. And as we all know, we cannot extract more than the natural replenishment if we want to manage the water sector according to a sustainable manner. The demand of all three people here is more than 2.5 billion cubic meters a year. And as I said, natural replenishment is not only half. And if I divide this 1.2 billion cubic meters a year to the population, which is Israel, more than 8 million people, the Palestinian Authority, 4 million people, something around. So you have a number which is something like 150 cubic meter per person per capita, which is way, way below the line that UN set for water-stressed areas. So because of that, we developed non-conventional water resources such as desalination, such as water reuse. And we are trying to manage our water sector in a sustainable manner with proper governance. As for Gaza, we recognize the stress in Gaza. We recognize it. And when we disengaged from Gaza more than 10 years ago, there was something about 1,500 wells in Gaza. as Ahmed said now, it's more than 8,000 wells in Gaza. So I think that the first thing that we have to do if you want to save the water sector is implying governance. And governance is not only permission of water extraction from the aquifer, it's also dealing with the infrastructure, dealing with the distribution system, building a Gaza water carrier which is needed, regulating the extraction from the aquifer, having the proper water law. And of course, we need also the desalination plant and treatment of all sewage to quality that you can infiltrate this effluents to the aquifer. With all of that, Israel is offering its help. Israel approached the UFM, I think 6 or 7 years ago, when UFM labeled the desalination plant in Gaza, and it was labeled, and Israel voted for it. Israel thinks that desalination plant in Gaza is essential, but it's for the midterm. It's not for immediate term. And for the immediate term, we are engaging now with the Palestinian Water Authority according to another water cooperation project, which is the Red Dead, which Saad Hamur was talking about, from which we are obliged, we agreed to supply additional quantities to the Palestinians, 20 to 30 million cubic meters a year. I can say that we are in the last stages of finalizing this agreement, and according to this agreement, the Palestinian Water Authority asked us to supply additional quantity to Gaza of 10 million cubic meters a year, and subject to finalizing this agreement, we are going to do this. So, I don't know if it's enough, I think it's not enough, but we have to work with the Palestinian Water Authority. If they want more, they should engage with us in talking how to bring more water to Gaza. But an essential thing to do is to treat all the waste. As Yair said before, we closed the desalination plant in Ashkelon for 2 days because of contamination in the Mediterranean from Gaza. And everybody knows that the currents are flowing from south to the north. So if there will not be a good treatment of the wastewater, it can shut down also our desalination plant. We will not be able to supply water, not to the Israelis and not to Gaza. So the solution, and everybody was talking about the same things, is for the immediate term, increasing water supply from Israel to Gaza according to the MOU signed in 2013, accelerating the process needed to start building a desalination plant in Gaza, and I think 55 million cubic meters a year is not enough. You need to build, if you're starting, you need to build a larger facility, not only 55 million cubic meters a year, treat all the waste, and have a proper governance. Water is a very simple issue, and especially when we are situated, located on front of the Mediterranean, it's only a question of funds in order to desalinate pure water for everybody to drink. And I will end by saying that water should be a means of cooperation, not the cause for dispute. Thank you.
Thank you, Odette. I think what we're hearing is that you can't disengage from a shared environment. And any policy that promotes political disengagement is ignoring ecological interdependence. And I think that's what we heard from all of our panelists. And I know that Odette is not coming from the Ministry of Energy, but the energy crisis that Gaza faces is something that prevents the solution of the sewage system. And I will give the floor to Ahmed Yacoubi to add some comments from the Palestinian perspective.
I hear to what my colleagues they said, and that is well known for us as a Palestinian. The solution, it's clear since 20 years. When you are in my position was General Director, this plan was already, we did it, and we make strategy planning, and the solution, what should be done through additional water. We use all this theoretical managed plan, we know it. But the issue is not the plan. Back to the history. Since 20 years, we are looking to construct a Khan Yunis wastewater treatment plant. And we didn't any fund. We didn't find any fund with a $50–60 million to build Khan Yunis treatment plant. And since that years, and since beginning, since the 50 years, Khan Yunis they don't have a treatment plant. They don't have any network distribution for wastewater, and all the water is going directly to the groundwater. We know that we are polluting the groundwater, but we know there is no other solution because it is not in our hands. When we are talking about poor people, I don't talk about the government, I talk about the Gaza people, and know how the people are suffering due to the political conflict and all this issue. This is not my business, but I know how the people, they are suffering in daily basis to get their food. 60% the poverty of the Gaza people, and 17,000 engineers, doctors, graduated from the university, and they don't have a chance to get $100 per month. Imagine a family of seven people, none of them are working. Do you think that these people will think about the water preservation? Do you think that the collection rate of the water bills about 20% of the people are able to pay the water, which is very cheap, 1 shekel per cubic meter? I am thinking, what will happen if we build desalination plant with good water, distributed to the network without good governance, with that poverty, without socio-economical strong enough to cover the operation and maintenance of any facilities you have built, the system will fail. Normally will fail. Nobody can continue funding or supporting Palestine for covering the operation and maintenance of the system. I can have a Chevrolet car easily from the donors, but I will not able to maintain it because I don't have money to cover the cost of the wheel if it is broken. This is we have to think about the settling of the socio-economical situation of the Gaza people. If we can build, you can build any desalination plant, you can build any wastewater plant with donors, which is delaying years and years. You see, KfW, German, since 20 years we are fighting with them just to build the desalination treatment plant in the middle area of Gaza. Lately they promised that we started it, but that delay, imagine how much affects the groundwater pollution of the system. You see, this is when my colleague from Ashkelon said about the pollution of Beit Hanun, we know we are polluting pollution of Hanun. And because we don't have the solution or it's when we are polluting it, believe, when there is pump station, there is no energy, no solar to operate the pump station to the sea, or to up to the place supposed to be. We are telling the Israeli, our colleague, they are calling us. We are polluting, because we are polluting ourselves before polluting them, because there is no solar, there is no energy to operate the pump station. And that is implicated on almost water treatment plants, especially in Gaza. We are polluting our groundwater, we are polluting the sea. Our people is affected. We know that affecting the Israeli neighbors as a normal flow, but there is no solution. In our home, I am not seeing the lights except 8 hours per year. What do you expect from all facilities which need hundreds of megawatts that needed? Now, Aegis, we are talking about Aegis, it needs 6 megawatts. Till now, we are not able to secure 6 megawatts. Even if it is built, if there is no 6 megawatts, the system will not work, which costing us about $60 million, and that will be implicated in all facilities. Now there is a shortage of about 60% of the energy needed, and when we are talking about desalination plants, central desalination cost needs about 27 megawatts. There is no 27 megawatts. And this is the condition of the donors. If you don't bring 27 megawatts, no one can guarantee giving you this 27 megawatts. This is the minimum. The problem, and we are suffering as a citizen, not the government is suffering from this situation. You see, nobody cares about the Gaza people except their people who are in daily ways dealing with this. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. And I think that that really does sum up and express the urgency of the situation. That time is against us.
Can I question the person?
We're going to have two questions in a minute. That time is against us. That we have a responsibility to keep pressure on all sides that we can pressure. We can't pressure perhaps all sides at once, but we have a responsibility to put public pressure on all sides to respond to this emergency situation as urgently as we can. And in fact, it was EcoPeace Middle East that disclosed to the public through a Freedom of Information Act that pollution closed the desalination plant of Ashkelon. Not just once, but twice. It was not in the public domain until we received a response under a Public of Information request. If the Kinneret of the Sea of Galilee was closed for 1 hour, it would be on the front page of every newspaper. How could it be that the desalination plant at Ashkelon was closed twice in the beginning of the year and no one in the public knew?